should be happy. Happy Monday, everyone. Let's get started, okay? Social media users are speculating that a video of President Biden shows him pooping himself. Well, at least he stands for something. The Biden campaign has announced plans to shorten the president's speeches. It's part of a bigger plan to make the most of what little time Joe has left. The judge overseeing Donald Trump's trial has once again cited him for contempt for breaking a gag order and threatened him with jail time. I'd like to see that, Donald Trump in jail. In a week, he'll be selling Trump-branded shivs. And I'll buy at least 5. This weekend, Trump appeared on stage alongside likely VP contenders at Mar-a-Lago. Kristi Noem would have been there on time, but she said her dog ate her plane ticket. Ooh. The publisher of Noem's upcoming book has announced it will remove a story about her meeting North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Evidently, the meeting was scheduled, but Kim canceled after he found out she wanted to have it in a gravel pit. According to the most recent jobs report, more women are working now than at any time in U.S. history. In similar news, my dishes have never been cleaner. Yeah. Yeah, wake up, everybody. After weeks of protests on campus, Columbia has canceled its graduation ceremony. Students are encouraged, however, to riot on Zoom. McDonald's is bringing back the confetti cookie dough McFlurry, but only in Canada, leaving many American fans upset. It's yet another reason for Joy Behar to move to Canada. Don't ever leave me, Joy. 10 more whistleblowers are prepared to speak out about the problems at Boeing. Memorial services for the whistleblowers will be held at a location to be determined. To the monologue. Columbia University canceled graduation ceremonies thanks to the anti-Israel encampments that keep popping up like post-spring break UTIs. Now, protesters won't get to throw their keffiyehs in the air and make the whole campus look like a Pizza Hut tablecloth. This after students demanded the school cancel finals and hand out passing grades so they wouldn't be traumatized by the damage they themselves inflicted. Some revolutionaries, that's like Che Guevara handing you the bill to have his beret dry cleaned. But last week, somebody we've all been waiting for finally showed up. The adults. Remember them? They used to run things, not just pay for them. And what we saw was the battle between two forces, dad brain and internet brain. The internet brain is the kind that's easily susceptible to crap on the internet. It's kind of like wet brain, but without the joy of earning it with Jack Daniels. Internet brain is campus brain, social media brain, and Karen brain, all held together by outrage and sob snot. The dad brain is the response to that and says, fine, we've heard enough, now go do your homework. And over the last few years, kids have been infected with internet brain, and now they're unleashing it on us. Internet brain tells you you're entitled to a world that matches your every desire. Internet brain tells you that abstract issues out there matter more than your responsibilities here. Internet brain tells you that instead of studying for finals, you should pitch a tent on your campus lawn, chant slogans about an ancient conflict you know less about than your actual major, then demand a passing grade anyway. And that if you do it loud enough, a nation of 9 million on the other side of the world will cease to exist. But like what happens when the babysitter lets you stay way past your bedtime, the fun and games are over when dad gets home. And he's patient, but not that patient. So it's dad brain versus internet brain. And as everyone knows, after all the crying, screaming, threats, and demands, dad's gonna win, kiddies. So save yourselves a spanking. Let's compare internet brain and dad brain. Dad brain lays down the law when nonsense gets out of hand. No mom's ever gotten the kids in line by saying, wait till your non-binary community organizer gets home. Dad's brain lives in the world of paid bills, changed tires, mowed lawns, of vital things getting done. Meanwhile, internet brain has strong opinions on building a carbon-neutral tree fort written by people too weak to lift a hammer. Internet brain doesn't focus your problems. It expands them by saying the world's problems are yours. Dad brain says, no, Hamas is not your beef. Mother's Day is. Get your mom a card and some flowers. The internet brain offers you big problems you can't handle. Climate change, the Middle East, global inequality. Dad brain knows that such obsessions create anxiety and says, save us the lecture on Marxism in Peru. Have you paid your phone bill? Internet brain also forces kids to compare their lives to others, generating envy that leads to mental anguish. Dad brain says, I know Kelly and Ashley went to Aspen on spring break, but we're going to your grandmother's. You know, that kind old lady who might not be here in a few years? Dad brain sees what the inner brain does to you. It makes you crazy, like a bad boyfriend. And dad brain is not so much enforcing discipline as calling. Most of these kids know their causes and commitment are all a show. It's the equivalent of a school play, and that it's badly produced, it becomes boring, and the parents aren't so much enjoying it as they are tolerating it. In fact, many of them want dad brain to knock them into line. And so after weeks of Hamas cosplay, who shows up? Yep, the adults, college officials like the president of USC, who told the kiddies, fun's over. As a result, USC has been cleared out twice with no injuries or riots. Disappointing most of the media, of course. Florida has a healthy supply of adults in charge, too, where students were told their schools are not a daycare. That's a dad brain. I'm surprised they also didn't yell at them for touching the thermostat or threaten to turn this car around. Of course, the cops were a massive dad brain here. No shootings, no real injuries, and the sort of patience only a dad could have with brats. So looking out over the campus landscape now, it feels like dad brain is returning. Even SNL, a show that adapts as quickly as the dodo, had to admit dads are right to call BS on the protests.
Alphonse, your daughter must feel so supported when she's out there.
What's that now? when whose daughter is out there?
At the protest.
No, man. You bugging. Alexis Vanessa Roberts better have her butt in class. Let me find out she in one of them damn tents instead of the dorm room that I pay for. I am supportive of y'all's kids protesting. Not my kids. My kids know better. Shoot, Alexis Vanessa ain't crazy. She ain't talking about no free this, free that. Because I tell you what ain't free, Columbia. I'm out here busting my hump to pay all that tuition.
Not bad. At least the show's heading in the unfamiliar direction of humor. So as internet brain condemns fossil fuels, we need dad to tell them to buy a car that's good on gas. As internet brain tells them to eat bugs to save the earth, dad brain has to tell them to finish their peas. And when internet brain says trans females should play in women's sports, dad brain says, cool, let's arm wrestle for the keys to your car. See, dad brain's not just a party pooper obsessed with consequences. That dad loves his kids enough to make sure they stop embarrassing themselves in public, because the choice is between dad brains or no brains at all. Welcome tonight's guest. He looks like the guy you'd want to cheat off of. Host of the Guy Benson Show, Guy Benson. If Abe Lincoln attended one of his shows, he'd want to be shot sooner. Host of Fox News Saturday Night, Jimmy Fallon. She's cute as a bug, specifically COVID-19. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor, Kat Tiff. And if you'd send his arms to Ukraine, they'd win. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA world champion, Tyrus. Guy, you're an expert in this. As someone who looks like they're still in college, yet also is a dad, do you feel that there's some sense of like adult responsibility re-entering the room in a number of places?
Yes, I think that's definitely true. Although I'm hesitant to dole out a bunch of attaboys to people who are way late to the game.
True.
Right? So at the University of Florida, you pointed out, they handled it really well. At USC, yeah, they brought the hammer down weeks after the chaos ensued, and they canceled their graduation.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's like, okay, you get less than half a clap for that. And the SNL sketch that you meant, that's less than half a clap. Perfect. Keep up. The SNL sketch that you played was the cold open. It was actually pretty funny. And what's kind of sad about it is, in retrospect, Kenan Thompson's character, this working class dad, is talking about how he will be at Columbia's commencement ceremony to cheer on his daughter. And then 2 days later, Columbia canceled their commencement ceremony. It's pathetic. These people are absolutely pathetic. And I think the loss in prestige that we're watching in real time for some of these places is absolutely deserved.
When your kids get to that age, are you going to send them to a fancy schmancy school?
Let's see how fancy and schmancy they are in 20 years, right? I think things could look very different. I think they need to look very different in 20 years.
Oh, interesting. They'll be at Columbia. All right. Jimmy, you're a dad, which is really scary.
You stop it.
I mean, it's scary. You agree with Guy that, like, the internet dad isn't having as much as the internet brain is winning?
Yeah, I mean, every kid that lives by internet brain actually doesn't have a good dad. That's the point. If you have a good dad, they're not susceptible to all of this, like, mindless groupthink. I mean, I think that's clear. To the point you were making about schools, USC, I will give them credit for one thing. In California, it's hard to tell who's protesting in a tent and who's just living in one. You know what I'm saying? So that's like issue number one. Issue number two for me is it is thorny because there's a part of me that's a dad and knows every one of these kids is being failed by their parent. But issue two is, as a former cab driver, I know most of Hamas. You know what I mean? So I don't know where to go with this other than to say I want the real dads to win, and I feel like we've entered a course correction where they're about to.
You always connect cab drivers.
You're damn right I do, Gutfeld.
Every time you're on the show, you smear our cab drivers.
That's what I come from. That's my background.
They're not all terrorists.
I have no degree. I have no education. I don't have your budget. I can't shop in the Danny DeVito collection. Come on. Oh, my God.
That was really loud, and Dad, I'm getting scared.
Okay, son. It's okay. I got you.
I'm way too white.
Go upstairs.
No, you see some of my kids, you're not.
Oh, no.
Where are we going, Kat? You have dad energy.
I'd like to think so.
Do you think that SNL skit kind of nailed it in a way, or did you think it was just, eh? Did you notice the white people there were stupid in the skit? They were dumb.
Yep.
Maybe that's more of a question for me, Gutfeld.
Well, Columbia it's absurdly expensive.
Yeah.
I think it's like $70,000, $80,000, something like that to go there. And, what you were mentioning is the only thing that really made it worth it was the prestige of saying that you got to go there. I don't think it's really any better there than a lot of other places, but it's like, oh, but you went to Columbia, I went to an Ivy League school. When you don't have that anymore, when it becomes potentially controversial or even embarrassing, then how do these schools get people to pay that? Because I don't know how you get people to pay that even now. But it's also really sad, too, because these kids, so it's 2024, a lot of them probably didn't have high school graduations because of COVID.
Right.
Now they don't get a college graduation. At Columbia, which is supposed to be the best schools in the world.
Yeah.
Can't figure that out.
Do you know what I found out? Do you know who pays full price on the tuitions? The out-of-country students, which is, I guess, like 14,000 Columbia students are from outside the country, and they always pay full price. It's like, remember out of state, when you were an out-of-state student, you would pay full tuition for a state school. So that's why they have so many thousands of these un-American students. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point, Tyrus.
Yeah. I think it's funny how we all just jumped in and be like, oh, it's the dad brain. But look at the dad you needed to bail you out. The black dad. And apparently we're not unicorns. We do exist. And whenever there's trouble, we can come in the room and say this is there was a perfectly good white dad there that could have jumped in any time. But
they can't do
not
that.
Touching it.
They can't do it.
They can't
so
do
they
it.
need the brothers to bail them out once again. So I didn't look at this sketch so much as funny as like, how typical.
Right.
It's the fan, now you need us. We're like Beetlejuice. Say black dad 3 times, and we'll come on the show, and we'll settle it.
Now, do you think that's because they have to make sure the white guy isn't the hero in the skit?
Like, to be that afraid to write jokes is still the same thing.
Right.
Now, he did a great job. But it's the point.
Yeah.
It had to be a black dad. And I guess the smartasses will be because the only time you'll see him is in imaginary sketches. But we are here.
And by the way, the school at Columbia and some of these other places, they actually have more leverage than they were willing to wield because it's so true. It's the piece of paper with the famous name on it that these kids want more than anything. Yeah. And if you threaten that, like, oh, that might go away for you, we're going to expel you, 98% of these people would be gone in an instant because they're cosplaying. They don't actually believe half this stuff. And if they all of a sudden feel like the dream of getting that framed piece of parchment might go away, that solves a lot of the problems, and they wouldn't even play hardball with these little.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
I got to go. I got to move on quickly, Jimmy, and before you lift off in that funny jacket. Did you want to say something?
No, I'm very patriotic. No, I was just going to co-sign what he was saying.
All right, cool.
Like, these protests have driven the value of my community college degree up to 2 12-packs of beer. That's a big deal. They've raised tuition.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.